Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's TheSketchMonkey here. Lamborghini has done it again. Of course, this is the SC20 and it's a one-off half-road, half-track car built for a specific customer. So what I'm going to do in this video, I thought we're going to have some fun with this design here. First of all, I'm going to talk you through what the SC20 actually is, the spec and tech of it. Then I'm going to pop it into Photoshop because I think some of the design in this SC20 has a lot to do with the successor of the Aventador, which should come out probably in a year or two. We should see a successor to the Aventador. So what I want to do is take the SC20, pop it into Photoshop and add a roof to it and maybe tone it down a little bit, and maybe that way we can get an idea of what the Aventador successor could possibly look like. Because it doesn't make sense to me if they built one single car like this, and if you look at the Sian, for example, it has some resemblance to this as well. It doesn't make sense to build those cars and not take some of it over to the Aventador successor, if that makes sense. So the SC20 here, it is developed by Lamborghini's in-house racing department. It's one of a kind built, made specifically for a customer that of course wanted something special. Lamborghini wanted to take what they've learned in racing and the aerodynamics from their most recent cars and concepts and can transfer that technology into a car that is both street legal and that doesn't look like any other car that they currently have on the market. The designers said that they were inspired by the Diablo VT Roadster, the Aventador J, the Veneno Roadster, and the Concept S for this car. And if you look in the back here, the graphics has a strong resemblance to those rear lights of the 2020 Lamborghini Sian, which in turn was inspired by the Lamborghini Countach. So basically what I'm saying here is that the SC20 has a mix of pretty much every Lamborghini in history. Now, if we look at the front of the SC20 here, it feels less sharp than the Aventador. It feels like it has a larger surface area, and me personally, I love these big chamfers that you see going from the headlights onto the body of the car, because it's something I've always been a fan of, chamfers in connection with some graphic feature of the car, such as the headlights here. It's been away, that styling feature or trend has been away for a couple of years now. It was a big deal of maybe 5-10 years ago to put chamfers around some specific graphic details, and I'm really happy to see that Lamborghini is bringing this back, because it's one of these details graphically in the cars that I've kind of missed recently. Because if you have a chamfer connecting to a graphic feature, it just makes it look more interesting than if you have, for example, a headlight sitting flush with the body of the car without sort of having a framed chamfer around it, if that makes sense. So the design of the SC20 is of course still 100% Lamborghini, though with intersecting lines, massive vents of course, and sharp angles all over the place. The thing with Lamborghini here is that they do have a lot of lines and creases and vents and all kinds of stuff going on in the body of the car, and I am not against that at all. You might think that I like clean designs with less lines and less stuff going on in the car. Usually I do, because making a car like this with this many things going on in the design, it's not easy to come up with a good design. And a good design to me is, a good car design to me is when you can look at the lines in the car and you can follow the lines of the car and you see that the lines themselves, pretty much every single line has some sort of connection in another part of the car. And Lamborghini does this very well, even though they have a lot going on in the car. If you experiment yourself, if you pop a Lamborghini into Photoshop, for example, and you start to draw the lines from one graphic features and then you just follow that line, I'm pretty sure you're going to find a point or a line that connects to that graphic feature. And that to me is the distinction between a good design and a bad design. It's all about connection and continuity all around the car, and this is something Lamborghini does very, very well. Now, if you look at the back here, you have a much more aggressive design than we're used to seeing on the Aventador, for example, and it also comes with a massive wing. It wouldn't be right otherwise, since it's a Lamborghini here. And the wing itself has 3 positions called low, medium, and high load, in addition to a deep diffuser in the back, and of course a bunch of vents to let the hot air come out of that massive engine bay and cool the engine. Being a proper roadster, the SC20 completely lacks any sort of windshield here, and this is what I'm gonna have a lot of fun with in just a minute here when I pop this into Photoshop and sketch a roof onto this car to kind of experiment to see what the successor Aventador, the Aventador successor could look like if we add a roof to this car. I think that's going to be pretty close to what the Aventador successor will look like. I also think that the side intake of the Aventador is one of the things that are very specific for the Aventador. So I think the side intake, the massive vent there, is going to change in the successor as well and create a new identity for that car, because I haven't seen a Lamborghini go from one model to the other and keep the same graphics of the massive side intake there. So inside of this car is a symphony of bare carbon fiber in the dash and composite materials that makes up the seat shelves, for example. It's all about being lightweight here. In a very Lamborghini-like fashion, there is no talk of electrification going on here in the SC20, because the powertrain is made out a naturally aspirated 6.5 liter V12, which produces 770 horsepower and 531 pound-feet of torque. However, although this is all naturally aspirated, the Aventador successor is supposed to be at least a hybrid. It's like Lamborghini negotiated with the regulators and the governments, and okay, we can make a hybrid, but we're not going to stretch as far as going full electric just yet. And this massive V12 is connected to a 4-wheel drive system and a 7-speed automatic transmission, giving it a 0 to 60 miles per hour time in under 3 seconds. Not bad, because this is not really a small car. Now, Lamborghini has not yet revealed who the buyer is and where this car is going in the world, but my guess is that we're going to see this car pop up on various Instagram accounts, because if you own a one-off SC20 like this with this crazy styling, it's kind of hard to stay anonymous. And with that said, what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna have some fun, pop this into Photoshop, add a roof to it, and maybe tone down the styling a little bit. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna have to see how that turns out, and just see if we can maybe visualize what an Aventador successor could look like. There we are, guys. Just a fun experiment today with adding a roof to the SC20. I think it looks very cool. Who knows if this is what the Aventador successor would look like? Who cares? I had a lot of fun doing it anyway. Thank you so much for watching. I'm the SketchMonkey. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.